Hello everybody and welcome to our complete set review of Guilds of Ravnica, brought to you by our Kickstarter backers and all the folks watching at home right now. I am Evan Irwin.
I'm Aaron Campbell.
And I'm Ruben Bressler.
And we're here to talk about every single card in Guilds of Ravnica. It's here. We're here. We did it.
Finally.
Oh my god. And it's a great set.
It does look really good. It lives up to the Ravnica kind of hype, I think.
And it needed to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wizards was not going to let this one fail, and I don't think they did. I think they put a lot of time into it. And we can really tell, and we'll get tail.
We can really tell.
Let's get started with Blade Instructor, our 001 card of the set. It's a white and 2 generic mana for a common human soldier with Mentor. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power, and it's a 3/1. So 3 mana, 3/1 with Mentor.
Yeah, it's a 3 mana, 3/1 with the keyword for the one of the keywords for the set.
Mm-hmm.
Card's fine. 3 mana, 3/1s in draft tend to be okay. You don't want to overload on these. There's a couple good ways to deal 1 damage, give creatures -1/-1 in this set, so it's not spectacular, but it's a good card.
It's also the debut of the effect itself of Mentor, the mechanic.
Yeah. I would value this more if the power was lower, because then it would be more likely to benefit from a friend having Mentor. But if it was based on toughness, I might value this card a little more. But it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to give your 2/2s for 2 a +1/+1 counter, which is good.
Right.
Again, it's a little fragile, being 1 toughness on turn 3. There aren't a ton of creatures that trade up with this, I guess, in this set. There aren't a ton of really high value 2/2s for 2. So this is more likely to trade up than trade down, I would think. But with that said, I mean, it's pretty fragile.
Right.
I do want to touch on the art a little bit here. There's 2 things going on that I really like. One, I like that it's actually showing you someone mentoring someone.
Yeah.
We're able to really see that mechanic in action. And 2, they're really stressing on the fact that we're in Ravnica in fall, which I don't think it's really been specified before, like when we've been there.
There was a little bit of this set specifically was going to be Ravnica in fall.
Yeah. So that you can see a leaf in the art, which really hammers the point home.
Yeah.
Well, multiple leaves, and they have to be flying around and whatnot. But again, also you can look at things like, for example, we have two women here, person of color. That's awesome. And it's not even really something I really need to point out. It's just something like we're kind of used to.
I like the big
I like that.
Jabari tribe neck piece that she has on as well.
Moving on. Bounty Agent is next. We got to fashion. We got to move it.
Yeah.
Bounty Agent is next.
Well, it's not good once I start talking about fashion.
It's a white and generic mana for
But at least he's wearing pants today. That's
true.
A big step.
He has got pants on. Last time you didn't even know. You didn't even know. Yet sock game. All right.
Well, I got the dice for the sock game.
Bounty Agent's a white and generic mana for a 2/2 rare human soldier with Vigilance. You can tap and sacrifice it to destroy target legendary permanent. That's an artifact, creature, or enchantment, which means no planeswalkers.
Right.
No.
We went over this last night. Ruben and I kind of did some studying before the show, and we were really racking our brains trying to figure out who wants this. My first thought was maybe Death and Taxes and Legacy, but they already have cards like Containment Priest, things to deal with the Emrakul's and the Sneak and Shows and that. And then I was like, maybe modern Death and Taxes, but then I was like, what would they even want to destroy? And so it's cute. I think the thing that really holds it back is you technically can't do it till turn 3.
Right.
And I think anything really legendary you'd want to get rid of right away. And so I'm really struggling to find a home for this, but I'm convinced it's somewhere. It's just not coming to me.
I'm convinced this is just a scalpel. This is a play design card to keep things in check.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cards that are very obviously play design cards in this set, which I appreciate because this is the first set that play design really had full control over. They had a few fingers in the pies for Dominaria and then Core Set, but you can really tell that there are meta game cards for this set, which I really appreciate. And I think Bounty Agent is one of them, and we probably just haven't seen what it is yet. It's probably one of the legends in this set.
Right. In this set, or even the next set. Again,
in the next set.
This is a nice sort of safety valve. This is, if Dominaria's legends were too good, here's your answer. And or if they make too many good legends in this set or the next set, we got something there waiting for.
Right, yeah. And I do think that... obviously decks like Sneak and Show in Legacy have a bad matchup against Death and Taxes anyway. Karakas, Flicker Wisp off of an Aether Vial, Containment Priest. There's lots of stock gaps. This is a lot better against Leovold, though. So this is a pretty good card against Leovold specifically. It does let your opponent draw a card with the targeting, but it is a way to get rid of a card that is usually a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I can maybe in constructed for me. I'm like, well, it's a stopgap. It's more of a sideboard card, and in limited, it's a 2-mana 2/2 with Vigilance.
Yep.
Which is a fine card.
It also gets rid of a Galta in standard, which is not nothing.
Yeah.
There's a couple of targets in standard for Bounty Agent.
Right. All right. Moving here to Candlelight Vigil. It's a white and 3 generic mana for a common enchantment aura. It enchants a creature. An enchanted creature gets +3/+2. It has Vigilance. And then we're back to the classic aura question, which is, do I set myself up for a 2-for-1? Is this good enough? This gives a huge bonus. Like if I put in something with Mentor, this thing.
This is for the Mentor deck specifically, yeah. Boy, 4 is a lot of mana.
Oh boy, but we also have a guest for Candlelight Vigil. This is interesting. Let's see what we have.
Hey everyone at Magic Mike's, it's Rich Hagon here at the World Championship. It's Sunday and the Team Series Championship is just underway. I'm here at the news desk and in front of me, John Finkel's playing Carlos Ramao, Andrew Cunio's up against Marcio Carvalho, and then Paul Rietzel's playing Thiago Saporito in the first of the Team Series finals. Anyway, we want to talk about Guilds of Ravnica, and I spend a lot of my time trying to work out how good cards are, because that's what a lot of the viewers want to know, what's going to be the best cards to go in their deck. And a lot of the time the art, the flavour, the lore all goes away because my job's not really about that a lot of the time. So the card I want to talk to you about is a card that in fact I think is not very good. It's a common. I suspect I will never draft it, I suspect I will never play with it, and that's okay, because once every new set I like to look at the set and just appreciate it for the stories, the beautiful people, if you like, that populate the world. And Ravnica is one of my favourite planes anyway. And so the card I want to talk to you about is a 4-mana common. It's white, and it's called Candlelight Vigil. Now, what it does isn't super important. It's a 4-mana creature enchantment. It's not very good, like I say. But if you look at it, and presumably it's up on screen for you right now, Tangled is one of my favourite movies of all time. And there's a song called I Guess I've Seen the Light. And there are all these lanterns floating off into the sky. And it's a beautiful song and a beautiful moment in a beautiful movie. I've always loved candles anyway. I love to work by candlelight. I love it when there's a power cut and you're stuck like huddled around the fire and you've got the candles all around the lounge, and it just reminds me of home and hearth. And although I'm not really a Selesnya person, I'm much more Resorius or maybe Boros and so on, and I'm certainly not a green-white player by instinct. I love that on this card, A, the candles of course, but also that lonely figure keeping watch, because I spend a lot of my time on the road. I have a wife, I have a family that I don't see as much as I would like, and it can be a very lonely existence away from the tournament and while you're waiting for the next day to begin. And I love the fact that while that lonely figure is there on the right looking out across whatever vista they see across Ravnica, that behind them, off screen as it were, there is the whole of the Selesnya Conclave resting safe. And I like the sacrifice that guild mage is making. I also love the fact that all those people you don't see behind that person standing vigil are safer because of the efforts that are visible. It's what's going on under the water, if you like. And so I love the idea of togetherness that the Selesnya have. Now, I've given you no strategic insight whatsoever into Guilds of Ravnica there, other than to say, probably you don't want to play this 4-mana creature enchantment. But that's okay, because for the next 3 months, that's all I'll be trying to work out, whether you should play it, what you should pair it with. I'll be listening to limited resources, I'll be talking to the pros, I'll be getting ready for the Pro Tour attached to Guilds of Ravnica, and I'll be learning all the best archetypes in all the right orders, because that's part of my job. But for this moment, where it actually doesn't matter whether the cards are any good or not, it's just, do you like them? For me, Candlelight Vigil is my favourite card in Guilds of Ravnica. Hope you're having a great experience on the show. Thanks for letting me be part of it. Bye.
Oh, that was amazing.
If that were anybody else, we probably wouldn't have stayed for that. But the way that he sold that and the way that he told that, like it just all made sense. You could envision it as he was talking.
What a treasure. How lucky are we to have that?
Man, the wholesomeness.
That was wholesome. He's right, though. This card's garbage. Although...
Now, Convoke is a thing in this set, and Convoke does involve tapping, and so if you're able to give something Vigilance where you can still attack and block with it, you're not necessarily missing out if you have to then later tap it for Convoke, so that's a corner case.
There's also a tiny Baneslayer. There's like a 3-mana creature that has 8 keywords on it. This would be good on turn 4, so you play the 1/1 that has double strike, trample, Vigilance, and then you play this on it and get double Vigilance, but like then it's a 4/3 that deals 1 billion damage. That's not terrible.
The double striker thing,
yeah.
That we'll get to later.
This card's not good.
I mean, this is a classic.
The art is gorgeous. Yes. He's absolutely right. The flavor in this whole set is on point.
It's terrific. It's Ravnica.
I love it.
Yeah. So we'll move on, but thanks very much to Rich Hagon.
That was spectacular, and I also like that movie.
Yeah, the movie was great. That's it. Moving on to Citywide Bust. It's 2 white and generic mana for a rare sorcery. Our first rare sorcery, destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. If there is a low to the ground, Boros, aggro, just get you, turn them guys sideways, this is the type of card that's like, oh, that's a nice Lyra. Okay, we're done now.
Right.
I really want to talk about the art on this card. Victor Adame Menga this is fun. This art is fun. Like, you look at that giant, and he is comically big. There's nothing realistic about this. Like, this looks like something that could be...
He's one burly boy.
Right. This looks like something maybe in a Saturday morning cartoon or a comic book, and this isn't a side of Victor I've really seen before. And so I love that he really leaned into this. And there's actually another card, which we'll talk about a little later, that appears to be like a continuation of this. And so I love just how fun this art is and how fun the flavor text is. And it's just a different side of Victor than I'm used to seeing. In terms of what the card does, this reminds me a lot of, I was just looking at it a couple minutes ago, I believe it's Strangle Strength. It's from Rivals. It's 1 and 2 white.
Slaughter the Strong.
Slaughter the Strong, thank you.
Yeah.
So the only thing that comes close to this right now is it's a thing where you can choose up to 4 total power and then get rid of the rest.
Right. This is the opposite.
Right. This is just anything 4 or bigger goes. Right. And so
I have an Arcades the Strategist EDH deck.
Yeah.
And Slaughter the Strong is amazing. Yeah. And this is the worst possible card for me to see in that deck.
Yeah.
Citywide Bust is maybe the most exciting monocolored card in the set for me. I think that dinosaurs are going to be a thing in post-rotation standard. Citywide Bust is a 3-mana wrath, kill all of your Ripjaw Raptors that that are huge. They're going to kill your beloved 6/6 flying demons. They're going to kill every wall. There could be an Arcades deck. I mean, now that there's a new wall card draw engine in this set that we'll talk about in a different episode as well. Citywide Bust is a home run on... There's a couple cards in the set where it's flavor, art, flavor text, cost, effect. Everything is perfect, and Citywide Bust is exactly right there in the middle.
He has pieces of building on him.
That's great.
He's strapped the gate.
He's using parapets as shoulder pads.
Yes.
And I, as a flat-chested male, I can't get behind a Citywide Bust.
Wow.
But,
you do what you can.
I do what I can to get by.
Yeah. And this is a great card and limited in that you can kind of set up your board. You were like, oh, okay, you keep playing creatures. I'll hold back. I'll wait. Okay, great. Citywide Bust. And then you can kind of throw your hand out.
This card is spectacularly good.
Yeah, it's very good. All right. Color the Culprit.
This is the companion.
We were just talking about this. Victor Adame Menga also did this one.
Look at that.
Color the Culprit is basically what happened before the last card. It's a white and 3 generic mana for a common instant that destroys target creature with toughness 4 or greater. So if you ain't getting rid of all of them, which is the bust, the Citywide, get rid of Uno.
Yeah, Smite the Monstrous has been a thing. I think this is basically a functional reprint of that.
Similar, yeah.
It's serviceable in limited environments. Everyone loves their bombs, and just being able to get rid of anything very cleanly that meets that one requirement is really great.
Yeah, there was a white and 2 generic mana sorcery in Rivals or Ixalan that destroyed a power of 4 or greater.
Right.
And this is a
Smite the Monstrous, I think, is also power, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
But this is also instant speed.
This is instant speed,
right,
which is a huge deal.
So I'm happy
and it's toughness, so you can get rid of Wall of Ice or whatever is in your way.
Arcades.
Well, yeah, right. Smite the Monstrous does not get rid of Arcades. This does. This card is going to be a limited all-star. You probably want 1, maybe 2.
Maybe.
Probably main decking 1 and sideboarding 1 if you have 2 in your deck. It's not spectacular, but it's good, solid instant speed limited removal.
Right, like this isn't the card you want against like Boros, but you know.
Well, I disagree. I think with all the mentor going on, I think it runs very little risk of being dead because it might start off as like a 2/2, but like you wait for that mentor, you wait for them. Oh,
this deals with Aralia before she enters the red zone.
Yeah,
there's a lot of high toughness, dangerous stuff that this is able to deal with.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so we want here to Conclave Tribunal, a white and 3 generic mana for an uncommon enchantment with Convoke. It's our first Convoke card. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell pays for 1 generic mana or 1 mana of that creature's color. When Conclave Tribunal enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Conclave Tribunal leaves the battlefield. It's basically Oblivion Ring.
Yeah, which always sees play.
Great.
But now
Tom Lopilli has a famous quote that Oblivion Ring should always be in standard.
Yeah.
And now you have this, which is just a strict upgrade to Hieromancer's Cage, I think.
Yeah, it's easier to cast.
Yeah.
An O-Ring that you can get a discount on seems pretty good. Specifically if you're playing an aggro deck, there's things that you're not going to be able to deal with, whether either because your color doesn't, have the answers to it or just doesn't really fit in with your strategy. But this is something that if your creatures can then pay for it, like this can get rid of planeswalkers, get rid of an artifact, even an enchantment, like something that just you're normally not cut out to deal with, you can with this card.
Really solid removal. It's also, if you notice, there's a card in a core set called Isolate.
Yeah.
That you're basically looking through the eyes of the goblin in this art in the card Isolate.
I didn't notice that.
And this is sort of from a third person behind, Doom camera angle as opposed to first person shooter camera angle, which I really like. You're going to have so many of these 1/1 lifelink tokens, either vampires from Ixalan or soldiers from Ravnica, to be able to tap with Conclave Tribunal, add to that other creatures that are good when you tap them, like Imara Tandris. This card is just a very good card. I expect it to see a lot of standard play. It's a first pick and limited, should go without saying. O-rings are almost always first picks.
Oh, they're always fantastic. Unless you have like a dragon or something.
Yeah, but
the only time
uncommon, unconditional removal is just
is terrific. And in the way that, and just when I've seen like the pre-release and then we've seen the team series yesterday, the ability to just pump out tokens and then be like, tap my team, do something else is hugely powerful.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just taking it down like Improvise wouldn't take away the color, right? This takes away the color too. You tap white creature and 3 other creatures and you got this spell for free. And that lets you play up to 2 to 3 spells a turn, and that's super powerful.
Just a great card.
Fantastic. Crush Contraband. White and 3 generic mana for an uncommon instant that choose 1 or both, exile target artifact or exile target enchantment.
So this is sort of a reprint of Return to Dust, which is a EDH staple. I always run it if I'm ever playing white in EDH. It's easier to cast 2. Return to Dust is 2 and 2 white. It also has the really confusing wording of like, if you do it on your main phase. Oh no, this is just 3 colorless and a white, and you get to do these things. And so this is something I know a lot of EDH players are excited about. I think it's fine in Standard. I can't think of anything in Limited that's really like you'd want to bring this in.
Not in this set. Not nearly as bad as Dominaria, where you needed to main deck a Crushing Canopy to deal with sagas or deal something to deal with Helm of the Host, like Invoke the Divine. We'll have to see how the format develops, but it doesn't look like there's anything particularly necessary for Crush Contraband. Again, perfect flavor. The sentence "choose 1 or both" might be my favorite sentence in Magic.
It's just so clean.
There's a whole. I think there's a whole cycle of "choose 1 or both" of uncommons in this set. And Crush Contraband might be the best of them.
Yeah, it's really terrific. And in Dominaria, it's like you had to have a disenchant. Like you could not run a limited deck.
You needed to run a Broken Bond or an Invoke the Divine in your limited deck,
Standard
or you would just get run over. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So we'll see about in Standard. 4 mana for this effect in Standard seems kind of iffy, but like for the EDH players around the world, this seems amazing.
Yeah.
Dawn of Hope. I think one of the last rares, if not the last rare of the set. Spoiled was a white and generic, or is a white and generic mana for a rare enchantment. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 generic mana, and if you do, you draw a card. But also, it's a white and 3 generic mana : create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. So it fuels itself while making more things, while fueling itself more, while making more things. Yeah. This is a very steamrolly type of card.
This is a mana sink in a archetype that typically requires mana sinks. In your Convoke deck, your early game is very, very good, and you need something to do with that mana. Dawn of Hope is something to do with that mana. It's 2 different things to do with that mana. It's card advantage. It's what was the Manifest card that you could pay 4 mana to manifest the top card.
Mastery the Unseen.
Mastery the Unseen. It's not as good as that. Not as good as like an Oketra or anything like that. But pay mana, get a creature, unconditional. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, and like you said, white is something you don't normally think of when you think card advantage. My immediate thought when I first saw this was the Soul Sisters decks in Modern.
Yeah.
Really great for kind of sneezing out their hands. Really great at gaining life, but then they're basically in top deck mode. And so if you have a lot of mana floating around and you're gaining life anyways, you're able to refuel and keep the board state going. There's also been token decks kind of on the fringe of Standard for a while. We saw some Vampire tokens decks. Manifest Destiny is still a thing in Standard. I think that's what the card's called.
Radiant Destiny.
Radiant Destiny. Thank you.
I said Manifest.
Get your history books, kids.
Yeah, Manifest Destiny is target red, white, and blue creature destroys something.
But yeah, so token decks have been kind of on the fringe for a while, and this is a really great token enabler that again gives them something to do and draw cards.
Yeah. And it's a colorless and a white enchantment from a Ravnica set that you don't hate.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, look, white rarely gets card draws. Usually Mentor the Meek, stuff like that. And so to give them another way to draw cards in Commander is huge. And a lot of Commander players are excited about this. This is a fantastic bomb and sealed because you're able to pump mana into it the whole game and start drawing cards off of it. I can imagine it's still great, and Draft might not be quite as good because it's a faster format.
Yeah. Good point. This is a much better sealed card. I mean, you're not going to kick it out of bed for eating Cheetos in your draft deck.
No, you'll still play it. But
but it's much better in a slower sealed format.
Exactly. However, it's still a fantastic card. Yep. It fuels itself. I like those cards.
Yeah, because it'd be very easy for them to just give you the top half, and then you're like, well, I guess I got to gain some life now. But no, it's an engine in and of itself.
Good in the Convoke deck, good in the Mentor deck as well, because it gives you something to put tokens on that already has a keyword.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very high pick in any limited.
Very nice. All right. Love this next card.
Oh, I love this card.
Demotion is 1 white mana for an uncommon enchantment aura that enchants a creature. Enchanted creature cannot block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. It's just like that can't block. It's been a while since we've had one of those.
Yeah.
And because you can't block, this is super aggro. It's only 1 mana. It's going perfectly they couldn't make it cost any less. And this is what your Boros deck wants to do. Yep. And I think this is going to see constructive play.
1 mana enchanted creature can't block.
Was it Cold Snap?
I think there was Gaelid Shackles in Gaelid Shackles in Cold Snap. There have been a couple. There was like a Kurtar's Demise or Kurtar's something in Odyssey that was a 1 mana white aura of this creature can't block. We see stuff like this every once in a while. The flavor of this card, though, is just I mean, this whole set is just so good with the flavor. All of the flavor text is spectacular. Yeah, this card's really, really good in the Mentor deck.
There is no greater honor than joining your chosen guild, and there's no greater shame than failing it.
Yeah. Man. And the art of the guy, like, turning your badge in your gun, like, it's so good.
I love it. Yeah, this card is sweet. I'm not sure if you're in the super aggro decks, I would pick this very highly.
Yeah.
If you're very aggressive deck and sealed, I would absolutely play this. It still lets them attack. You know what I mean? That's the sort of the drawback of it. But for just 1 mana to stop them from blocking your thing, if they have Death Touch or something, it gets very important.
Or if you're confident that you can just race them, where it's like, yeah, I'm fine taking whatever 2 you got over there because I'm just going to crash in for however
many. If
you
go 1 drop, 2 drop, 2 drop this, like that's a huge play.
Exactly. And sometimes you just want to stop their activated abilities. If there's just some creature with 37 things it's doing, you're like, okay, let's stop now. We're good.
And that's sometimes a hole in these. We see enchantments like this all the time, and sometimes they don't cover that, where it'll say like, can't attack or block, but can still activate. And that loophole matters.
And there's a whole cycle of guild mages that this is able to shut off as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so moving here to Divine Visitation, which we have a very special guest. Let's see who it is.
Oh, hey, folks. I'm Phil DeLuca from Commander and MTG Podcast. I'm just sitting here updating my Rith deck, and the card I'm most excited for from Guilds of Ravnica is Divine Visitation. That's the enchantment for 3 and white, 5 total converted mana cost that pretty much replaces any of the creature tokens you would create this turn with 4/4 flying vigilant angels. Yep. And if there's anything Rith enjoys doing more than creating an army of Sapling tokens, it's creating an armada of angel tokens. For 2 and a green, Rith is going to have a party. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think Phil hit the nail on the head. Saplings are still a thing in Standard. I know one of the issues I had a problem with when I was playing Ixalan Sealed was, the vampire decks were really small. Like, they were really good at making little 1/1s, but they often got outclassed by the dinosaur decks. And so that's the problem with token decks, is unless you have a way to really compete with what's on the other side, you just kind of run into these walls, and it gets really, really awkward. And this is a really great way in the late game where you're making tokens, and suddenly those tokens are very sizable. And there's so many token generators in this set that it shouldn't be hard to get this thing going. And of course, EDH is going to love this.
I mean, if you're able to make an Abzan with Slimefoot and 4 mana make an angel, woo!
I mean, even the card we saw last time, the little lifelink token one, the enchantment. You could even just play like a white enchantment deck, which we had kind of seen before in mono white approach. Mm-hmm. And so you just start off with that, make a little 1/1 whiter, whoop, it's a 4/4. And
I'm curious how playable exactly this is in Limited. I'm not sure if there's enough token generation to make it worth it for you.
Yeah, I don't know. We had a lot of token generation in Dominaria. We had some, but probably not enough for this in the core set.
Right.
But there was plenty in Dominaria with all the Saprling creators and an Ixalan.
Yeah. I mean, this to me is a very constructed card, whether it's Commander, casual constructed, or if it's actual, I mean,
you kick a Saprling migration on turn 6 after you Divine Visitation, that's big game.
Woo. Yeah.
Just entreat the Angels on turn 6.
Yeah. I mean, Anointed Procession got to be a $10 card at one point in Standard.
This is 5 instead of 4, but you're right. This is another white enchantment that doesn't do anything the turn it comes into play, and then was the centerpiece of a deck, was Anointed Procession.
Well, I recall, and I remember this because I like to pay special attention to the play design guys. You know what I mean? I feel like they've been playing the format. They know what's going on. And when M19 was coming out, Paul Cheon was very high on Leonin War Leader and said, this card is amazing. And turn 4, you got that. Turn 5, slam this down, attack, and you have 2 4/4 angels attacking with
that are attacking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. That's dope.
That's dope.
I want to talk about the flavor text. It's just the idea. If I'm understanding the flavor text correctly, they started that they were birds that then turned into angels, and so the people were feeding the birds, and then suddenly they were angels.
Suddenly the angels
and it says the angels appreciated the offer, but politely declined any bird seed. And I was like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's really good flavor, and they're hanging out around the Hallowed Fountain, to really hammer that point home. Just a really, the card's just a home run.
I just feel like Leonin War Leader plus this can be a constructed deck that would be very scary.
Sure,
just saying. Flight of Equinaughts is a white and 7 generic mana for an uncommon human knight. Excuse me. It has Convoke and Flying, and that's it. Those are your 2 words. There's 2 words on it. 8 mana spell. Saw this thing at the team series at the Pro Tour. It doesn't matter if this is 8 mana. What it really is usually around 4 mana.
4 or 5,
and you're tapping 3 or 4 creatures or whatever. Yeah. But then you have a 4/5 flyer, which is huge.
Enormous. Blocks all those 4/4 tokens that your opponent made last turn with their token creators.
Yeah.
Card's really good. It's a great payoff card for the Convoke deck. You want to have a big burly flyer to finish things off in that deck when the ground gets locked up. Mm-hmm. Just a good card.
Don't let the cost kind of,
It's frightening looking, but it's cost reduction, and as we all know, cost reduction is very dangerous.
Right. So it sounds really expensive, but it never really ends up that expensive at all. GERD for battle. GERD, y'all.
I've been battling GERD for years.
Oh my god.
So.
Oh my GERD.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was sick.
You got nothing?
Oh man. That was so good.
GERD, please.
Wow. GERD for battle. So GERD is a 1 white uncommon sorcery that puts a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures.
Ruben's being a GERD ape right now.
Wow. This is terrific with Mentor, as if you have creatures with Mentor and you kind of sort of hit the threshold, right? You're 3/1 with Mentor and you have a 3/3, you're like, oh man, where am I supposed to go? Right. Well, I'll put 1 on the Mentor guy and 1 on this other thing, and so now I can Mentor again. This is great because even at sorcery speed, 2 +1/+1 counters for 1 mana is a great deal.
Yeah.
To think of it as just basically playing a bear with haste. You're moving power around and you're able to use it immediately. That's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So this is the Boros card for me.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's a weird. There are a couple cards in this set that are cheap that target 2 creatures, which leads me to believe Heroic may be coming back.
Oh, we've also seen that with all the pips.
With all the pips as well, that Theros might be returning with Devotion and with not Demotion. We already went over Demotion, but Devotion.
Nice.
And Heroic might be coming back. That's not going to be relevant for Limited. Really solid combat trick, though, especially for those go wide strategies.
Well, not a trick per se, because it's sorcery speed.
Well, sure.
But it's a good pump.
Yeah.
The GERD is the word.
You heard that song, Free GERD? All right.
Irma, GERD.
Hazda Marshal is next. It's 1 white mana for a 1/1 uncommon human soldier. Whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. This is very similar to Battalion without Battalion. They don't call it that anymore. Right. But they can spell it out. And this is a 1 mana 1/1 that they want you to play. They've really been pushing the line with these 1 mana creatures in that we got to make them playable. We got to make them good because they're not just garbage anymore.
Well, I think that's important for any tribal deck to have a good sort of 1 mana. I think that really defines, a tribe worthy of being competitive is what's the 1-drop look like. We've seen that with zombies before. We've seen that with other tribes as well. Is there a 1-drop? No, not so much. I think this is really good in the early game. I mean, just playing it on turn 1 is fine, but also playing it on turn 5. If you draw it on turn 5 and you have creatures out, it still has value there too. And so I think it's good in the middle, good in the early, good in the late game. I really like it.
Yeah, multiple Hazda Marshals. Like if you go 3 Hazda Marshals in your first 2 turns, that is an army.
I call the judge. I'm going to check out the deck right there.
Yeah. So every once in a while, you get the triple Goblin Guy draw. This isn't as good, but this is certainly quite good. And it gets out of control very quickly.
Yeah, this isn't, to me, a very high pick in terms of limited. No. It's good in sealed with your white creatures. It's fine.
Yeah. But it is also a 1-power creature for your Mentor deck.
Right.
So that's not terrible.
Right. And you get this thing up to a 2/2 or a 3/3. It can stick around, which means it makes more.
Right.
It makes creatures, which then get mentored.
Which can be used for Convoke.
Right. Yeah, this card has a lot more potential than it may first appear. Speaking of awesome 1-drops, Healer's Hawk is a white 1/1 that has flying and lifelink. It's a good old-fashioned common bird, and it's weird in growing up, with magic, as it were, seeing magic go through the stage of literally flying men are too good to print.
Yep.
That was too good. That was too much.
They
took Sarah Angel out because they're like, whoa, that rate is just, we're good here.
Too far.
Did not matter. This is a 1/1 for 1 that you absolutely want to play. This is a card that is built to be mentored. Yep. This is a card that gets in early. It gets you a nice life total buffer. This card is very, very good, and I like it a lot. I don't think it's a first pickable thing or whatever, but it's very good.
You want to have things to be able to mentor onto if you're in the mentor deck, and this is the perfect one. It has evasion and it has a second ability.
Yeah, I can definitely see the as low to the ground as possible white red Boros decks, where it's just like, just give me every 1-drop you can. Just let me just play these evasive flyers, mentor, get you. Because once this is a 2/2 flying lifelink, like that's real. That causes a problem. And once it becomes a 3/3,
yeah, and if you GERD the bird, then it's even better.
That's illegal in multiple states.
Well, just don't get caught.
Your Honor, I GERDed the bird. All right. Hunted Witness is a 1 white 1/1 that when it dies, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink.
Doom Traveler has been a thing before. There are certain cards in this set that require you to sacrifice to do something. I really like this. I want to talk about the art again. When I first saw this art, I didn't believe it was real. We were in the middle of spoiler season. I just, people sometimes throw around either fake cards or they transpose their own art into it. I didn't think this was real. And this is some have described it as being almost noir-like.
Yeah.
It really kind of stands out a little bit. Like it's kind of rough. Like you look at it and it's not as polished as we're used to, or as other pieces. And so I really like this. David Palumbo did that one. The art is really what took me the most from this card. I was like, is that real?
Yeah, there's a really noticeable noir feel to this returning visit to Ravnica. A lot of it is in the Dimir, which we'll talk about later, and their investigations and doing stuff like that. But certainly this fits the bill. This was the Sam Black Eos of the Sam Black cards, and he got to preview it for this set, which was nice. He designed the Aristocrats, which won the Pro Tour in Montreal in the hands of Tom Martell, and the fact that we get another Doom Traveler, albeit without flying. Flying is a better ability than lifelink most of the time, but certainly, this is a 1/1 with 2 bodies, really, and that's a big deal.
Right. I mean, he ferried weapons, spells, exotic animals, but his most dangerous cargo was the truth.
That's right.
Yeah, this card is absolutely terrific. It's awesome with Mentor. It makes multiple creatures that you can mentor onto. Oh, they finally killed it. Great, I have a 1/1 now with lifelink, which is definitely better than just a 1/1 for 1 mana. So it gives you value on top of itself.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's going to hit constructed because there's no evasion for the
token.
There's
no evasion. There's not. I mean, there aren't great sack outlets right now. But we'll see. I mean, this is actually a 1-drop that's better in the mid game because you play it on turn 3, chump block, immediately get the other thing to mentor onto.
Right.
And this effect traditionally sees play.
All right. Inspiring Unicorn is 2 white and 2 generic mana for an uncommon unicorn that is a 2/2 that when it attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Sweet.
This is for the Convoke deck. 4 mana 2/2s are a little fragile, but certainly this one is one you want when you're making an army of 1/1 lifelink.
Oh yeah, when you want to just swing with a team, like this is the green-white Celestia, go wide, make tokens, get you with all my guys type of effect. Right. This is really a 3/3, this is a card that you will pick earlier than usual, not a windmill first pick or whatever, but this is like, oh, I'm in that go wide deck. This is the go wide card.
Yeah.
It is terrific. And
probably
the
a good signal if you get past this, like, 4th. Then that's probably a good sign.
They're not in white. They're not in Celestia. They're not trying to go make tokens or whatever. Right. You're like, okay, I will. That's cool. Thanks. Intrusive Pack Beast is a white and 4 generic mana 3/3 common beast with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, tap up to 2 target creatures your opponents control. And
boy, that's a heck of an effect on a common.
That's a rate right there. Whew. Tap. This is probably on the end of your Boros aggro deck. This is your 5-drop that you're trying to just squeeze in those last few points of damage with your Sky Knight Legionnaires and stuff. Excuse me. And I saw this in play at the Pro Tour where it did good work. It tapped down their biggest, scariest things and was able to mess with combat quite a bit. It has Vigilance at that point, so it's great for Convoke. Yep. This card is a lot of work for just 5 mana at common.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Ledev Guardian is a white and 3 generic mana for a 2/4 common human knight with Convoke. The end.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a Pillar Field Ox that doesn't necessarily have Pillar Field Ox mana attached to it. Pretty easy to play this on turn 3 after playing your 2-drop. Just a good card.
Yeah, this isn't really something you're going to be able to power out in turn 2. And even if you ever did, it wouldn't be that good.
It wouldn't even be that good. It's like, haha, Ornithopter, Memnite, 2 lands, Ledev Guardian. Like,
gotcha.
It's not great. I mean, you'll play 1 or 2 in your deck as filler cards against the other aggro decks. Pretty good against the Mentor deck. It's fine. It's got
the high body or high butt rather, but it's got the also ability that has a low power, so it can be Mentor.
Yeah. Yes.
Turn this into a 3/5 is really, really good. For example, at that point it becomes more of a threat.
I'm also excited that we get to see more of the Ledev, who are the traditional guards of the Celestia. Mm-hmm. They're sort of the mall cops of the Celestia area, as opposed to the actual cops, which are the Boros.
I see.
So the wolf is like their safe.
Their little scooter motor. Yeah. So Tosimir Wolfblood, who was a legend in the first Ravnica,
which we still don't have a token for.
Correct.
No.
We don't have a Voja token.
Ethan Fleischer, get on that, please.
Well, there you go.
I heard they might be one in the Celestia Guild kit.
In the Guild kit.
Whatever.
That would make sense.
I've heard
that would be the place to reprint it, or to print it, yeah.
But
in any case, Tolsimir leads the Ledev force, and they're wolf riders, as you can see. And just really good flavor of like picking stuff up. Again, the autumn motif with the beautiful changing color leaves.
So if the Ledev are the guards kind of thing, and so this Ledev Guardian's more like Guard Guardian,
right?
It's kind of an ATM machine.
Yeah, ATM machine, or there's a bunch of like rivers that are named River based on different language translations.
Wow.
There's a couple places in England that are literally called Hill because of 3 different languages. There's like Old English, then Norse, and then the word hill, which are pretty funny.
We went too deep, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep moving.
Well, when you get me off on etymology, it's a problem.
Light of the Legion is 2 white, 4 generic mana for a rare 5/5 angel. It has flying and mentor, and when it dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on each white creature you control. This is a gigantic. It's also dynamic. It's a gigantic, ridiculous bomb that you first pick, slam, windmill, even better and sealed.
Yep.
It's a 6 mana 5/5 flying mentoring angel.
I think this card is a trap. It is the rare that I will first pick the most often and be like, darn it, I didn't want to open this, but I'm taking it.
Because it will make you take every white creature from there on
right.
out. Right.
So that's what I feel when I look at this card. Is like, man, this card is bananas. I will lose every game in which this is in my deck. I think the card is great. I mean, Mentor on a 5/5 flyer is huge. This thing can win games by itself. It's a dragon. It's a 5/5 flyer for 6. Like, what could go wrong?
Yeah, and it has a death trigger on top of it.
Yep.
I mean, this is a huge limited bomb.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to hit constructed for a variety of weird reasons, mainly just because things are more powerful.
It costs 6 and doesn't do anything the turn it comes into play. Although it does have a death trigger. So.
But EDH players will snap this up because they love their angels, they love their dragons, and if there's not a home in constructed, like competitive constructed, the EDH players will take it home.
For sure.
This is but still unlimited. This is a first pick. This tells you where you want your sealed deck to go.
Yeah.
That's this kind of rare. Loxodon Restorer is 2 white, 4 generic mana for a common 3/4 Elephant Cleric with Convoke, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. And again, this is one of those spells that at the Pro Tour, it was a huge impact when he tapped 6 creatures and just slammed down the 3/4 that not only could block because it has 4 toughness, but it gained him 4 life, which put him right back into the race.
All right.
So it did a lot of work.
You also mentioned the advantage to having the mismatched power and toughness, with specifically the power being lower, and that's really a prime target for Mentor.
Yeah.
So it's more likely to be a target.
I see that skepticism.
Yeah, I mean,
this card's good.
They can't all be winners.
This card's good.
The card's fine.
It's not great. It's just good.
I will be medium unhappy if I have to play one of these in my draft deck.
Unhappy?
Medium unhappy. If I have to play 2 of these in my draft deck, something has gone horribly wrong.
That's a problem. You want to play 1.
This card's fine.
In your Convoke Celestia Go Wide deck, I think you absolutely want one of these every time.
Can we talk about how you're calling it Convoke, by the way? Putting the emphasis on put the emphasis on the first syllable. Convoke. We're gonna get ourselves a Convoke, ladies and gentlemen.
A Felonvoke, if you will.
Convoke.
Put the con in Convoke, y'all. Oh my goodness. All right. So Luminous Bonds returns.
Hey, making a comeback.
It's a white and 2 generic mana for a common enchantment aura, enchant creature. An enchanted creature can't attack or block.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier how a lot of these passives and type effects sometimes don't cover activated abilities. This one does not.
Right.
And so if that's something you're really concerned about, that's a hole the creature might be able to get through. But this is fine. I believe this was reprinted in one of the Rivals or
this was in
this is in Ixalan, I think.
Yeah.
I think that I thought that this was in Core Set. Am I wrong?
Might have been. I just remember
it was definitely in Rivals.
Yeah, because I remember there being a vampire and the flavor text indicating vampire. But it's perfectly serviceable. It's fine. I like the flavor text.
They didn't want pacifism at 2 mana, so now pacifism's at 3 mana.
Yep.
If you don't know what pacifism is, it's this at white
this,
generic
but
mana.
For 2 mana,
instead of 3. Literally, it's the exact same card.
I mean, this was a if you have a garbage pack, this was first pickable. This was you were very happy to get this 3rd or 4th.
Oh yeah.
It's just a good card.
Yeah, I played quite a few in Ixalan. I had an aggressive dinosaur deck myself, and so again, if you want to just kind of get that thing out of the way and swing in, it can do something the minute it hits the board, and you'll take it.
Yeah, it's not the Tribunal, it's not Oblivion Ring, which is the best white removal spell in the set. This is the second and certainly the best common removal spell. Yeah. And this is, if you see it 2nd or 3rd in a draft, you're like, oh, white's open. Because they would have taken this.
There's a couple of ways to get rid of enchantments in this set that are super playable. That will there's one mono green one that you're almost always going to main deck. Then there's the rare that's a Reclamation Sage. We already went over the Return to Dust. Right. So there's a couple of ways to get rid of Luminous Bonds, and especially in the middle of combat, that's a problem. So it's something to keep an eye out for. With that said, you'll happily play 4 of these.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Thank you. Parhelion Patrol is a white and 3 generic mana for a 2/3 common human knight with flying, vigilance, and mentor. This card is great.
Seems fine.
It's got a lot of abilities on it for it not to be good. 2/3s for 4 with flying tend to be or are traditionally playable. With flash or not, traditionally the 2/3s for 4 we get are flash flyers, and that's all the abilities they have. This one having vigilance is a big deal, being able to stand in front of opposing 2/2s, having mentor to be able to pump up your 1/1s and other things like that. Just a fine card.
I mean, there were multiple times at the Pro Tour when they when the player would sure strike this guy before combat, and then be like, okay, cool, attack for 5 and mentor this other thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Card is sweet. I would play all the copies that you get. I will draft all the copies. I don't care. It's great stats. Make sure you play your pump spells. Make sure you play them during your first main phase so you can get the mentor trigger. This is a terrific combo.
I would probably. I mean, I'd be unhappy with like the 4th one of these, but
I'd take 1.
But yeah, I mean, I certainly would play 1. Probably would play 2. maybe would play 3. I mean, that's a solid limited card.
It's got evasion and it's got 3 great abilities.
Probably not. I mean, it is a knight. Probably not good enough for the knight's deck in standard. Yeah. There are a couple of knights that we've gone over so far. I don't think any of them are crossing over into constructed formats.
Yeah, the stats are just not good enough, particularly the power and toughness for the mana that you're putting in for constructed. But again, in limited this works great in Celestia because you're using it for Convoke. It works great in Boros because you have evasion and you're being aggressive.
Yep.
Like, this card is extremely good. Righteous Blow, much like Slash Talons or
Slash of Talons.
Slash of Talons, is a white common instant that deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So it's kind of your white removal spell that isn't an enchantment.
It's fine.
It's good.
I feel like Slash was better in Ixalan, though, because it benefited from the dinosaurs having Enrage. And so there were a lot of blowouts or a lot of neat tricks that could happen if you target your own things. But this just being what it is, I mean, it's fine.
It's a removal spell.
It's right up there with the enchantment that lets you, I think it's Demotion.
Yeah.
You know, if you're playing an aggressive deck, you don't want expensive answers. So like if you can get rid of her for 1 mana, you're probably not running too many lands anyway, so this is fine.
And this one's also good on the other side of things. If you have a more control-y white deck, you definitely want to have Righteous Blow.
Right. This is a card that you're probably not going to first pick. You probably shouldn't be first picking this, otherwise your pack must be total garbage.
Yeah.
But usually you'll get it kind of 5th to 8th-ish, and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's a fine white card.
It's good filler. It's good sideboard.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Rock Charger is basically Pegasus Courser with, now it's a bird.
And it's an uncommon because they learned their lesson.
I also heard that they cleaned up the wording a little bit, where some people were saying I guess it's easier to grok, or like the rules are different or better.
And it can only target creatures without flying.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's a white and 2 generic mana for a 1/3 uncommon bird that has flying, and whenever it attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn, because Pegasus Courser, first of all, was a common, and that was stupid.
That was a problem.
That card was way too good.
Putting that with a Yargle?
I have, early picked me a lot of Pegasus Coursers. That said, it could target any other attacking creature, regardless of whether it had flying or not, and sometimes that was weird.
Still, this card's still great.
Yeah.
It gives this with the 3/1 mentor creature that allows the Rock Charger to get bigger in addition to giving your mentor creatures evasion. This card's going to still be a very, very good potential first pick, probably 4th kind of, this is what you want to be playing on turn 3.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason this was knocked up to uncommon.
Yeah.
It's because you don't want 2 or 3 of this card flying around and being crazy.
So this card rocks, would you say?
I would say this card rocks.
Wow. Okay. Glad we cleared that up. Skyline Scout is a white and a generic mana for a 2/1 common human scout. Whenever Skyline Scout attacks, you may pay a white and generic mana. If you do, it gains flying until end of turn. This card is
This card's fine. This is a mono white leaping master. If you played that in Khan's draft, Knight of the Skyward Eye was similar. The card's fine. Card is like, you might take it 7th. Like it's okay in those decks.
You'll probably wheel it.
But you're not doing convoke strategies. You're not doing mentor strategies with this card. It's a 2/1 for 2 that can gain evasion. It's fine.
This is a very aggressive card.
Oh, for sure.
Let's be clear about that. Moving on here to Sunhome Stalwart, which is a white and a generic mana for a 2/2 uncommon human soldier with first strike and mentor.
I remember when you got a grizzly bear and you liked it. Now they have first strike and mentor. Like,
well, this
wow.
Getting a bear in white that has first strike and another ability is a rare thing. Whenever you get that opportunity, things like Knight of Meadowgrain have even ported their way over to constructed formats. Sunhome Stalwart, similarly, doesn't look particularly impressive. I would not be shocked to see this in constructed.
No.
I think if they hadn't made the Boros red-white thing with double strike
and
Vigilance, whatever, if that card not existed, and Craig Wesco wrote an article about potential standard white wing deck, had this card in it. But this was before they had spoiled that card.
I mean, you forget that we still have the Benelish. I think it's the captain, the 3 white from Dominaria. Yeah. So you do turn 2 that, turn 3.
Get right in there. Yeah.
Have fun.
3/3 first strike mentor attacking on 3 with your captain is a big deal. I love that typically purple art has been the exclusive domain of black cards until very recently. But now that we're autumn time in Ravnica, we get these overcast skies in white, and I'm going to like these in foil.
Very nice. Yeah, this is going to look great. This is one of the cards that you don't slam first pick, but you'll probably take early. Will always make your
I would not hate taking this. I mean, if I have a below average pack and I have to take this out of a pack, it's fine.
It's okay.
It pushes you in a very specific direction.
Right.
But I would not be like, my draft is already a train wreck. I have to take Sunhome Stalwart first.
Well, this is also a card that
it is an elite 2-draw.
Right. This is if I'm in Boros and this is pack 3, I'm okay taking this first pick.
Sure.
Because I want something early, I want something strong.
Yeah.
This is both of those things. Sworn Companions is a white and 2 generic mana for a common sorcery which creates 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. Also the meme of the arms together.
Of the predators.
Right, of the thing. Sworn Companions in and of itself, there was something, what was it called?
There was
Queen's
Commission.
Yeah.
Yep, which made vampire tokens with lifelink. Yeah. This is Sworn Companions. It makes soldiers with lifelink. That's cool. Things to mentor onto, things to gain life, get you back into there, get you chump blockers. Not an early pick, but a fine
serviceable.
card.
It's a filler card. I would not be unhappy with these.
Right.
Maybe 1, maybe 2. I mean, it's good with Convoke.
Like
there's no uncommon lord with these, but
if you play this Stalwart into Sworn Companions, totally okay with that.
Yeah,
those are terrific play patterns of I mentor things now because mentoring things with lifelink is just like.
And you're going to be mentoring a lot of things. I mean, 1/1 soldiers with lifelink are the token of the set,
right?
So that is the most likely thing to have mentor, which means that your Convoke decks and your mentor decks are going to be gaining a lot of life, which turns them sort of into control-ish kind of strategies, which I think is also kind of interesting. So Sworn Companions in that style of deck, rather than trying to play an aggressive creature like Benelish Captain on turn 3, is fine.
Right.
It's not as ideal, but it's fine.
But it's okay. This is something you'll pick. You'll probably wheel it.
Yeah,
you might
probably
get
wheel these.
7th to 12th type pick, and it's okay. Take Heart is 1 white mana for a common instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You gain 1 life for each attacking creature you control. This is very aggressive.
Yes.
This is, you want to be swinging, you want to be attacking, you want to make sure you gain life off this spell, you don't want this to be a defensive spell. Boros ain't about the defense, it's about getting them, turning them sideways, being aggressive.
Winning the race.
This wins you the race. This is the part where it's like, they had the fog, right? Well, they had the fog, and I was on the wrong end of the race, and then we're dead. Right. It's like, no, this is the exact thing you want, because it's not only you attacking, you're gaining benefits for attacking.
If you put it on a lifelinker, you're getting lifelink from the creature, and then life from the total number of creatures, and that's Christmas land.
I like that someone can be like, I'll fog you, and you're like, well, I guess I'll still play my combat trick. I'm sure that there's a play pattern where that makes sense.
Nice.
This card's fine. 1 mana +2/+2s in white. Things like Vampire Zeal have traditionally been very good cards. Much better than the deal 2 damage effect, actually. I would rather have a Take Heart in any of my white decks, really.
Was it Moment of Glory or Moment of Triumph or something?
Moment of Triumph costs 2.
Oh, yeah.
So being 1 mana is a big deal. There was another 1 mana +2/+2 in a recent limited format that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. Vampire Zeal is the one that I recalled.
Sure. Yeah, but either way, again, this is Boros. This is 100% Boros. Don't first pick it or anything, but you're going to be able to
get in the Celestia deck, the go wide Celestia deck, gain life equal to the number of attacking tokens you got.
It's possible.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, but...
Make your 1/1 trade with their 3/3 and gain 5 life. I'm happy with that.
And I'd be okay with that. I mean, yes, there's a reason they put Boros creature, a Boros person in it. But that doesn't mean it can't go another strategy.
This one's interesting, too, because it does not combo with Mentor. Because you aren't attacking yet. So you have to make some playline decisions of, well, I'll give my creature +2/+2 to be able to trigger my Mentor. Or do I attack first
to gain
gain the life?
Right.
Exactly.
There you go. All right. 10th District Guard is a white and generic mana for a 2/2 common human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +0/+1 until end of turn. Very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, again, bears with upside. Hashtag bears with upside.
Hashtag bears.
We've seen a white of Precinct 6 in the past. We've seen a 9th Street...
Lavinia of the 10th.
Denizen?
Lavinia of the 10th, 9th Street. We've seen Ivy Lane Denizen and Foundry Street Denizen. There's a bunch of streets that we've seen before. Lavinia of the 10th is this person's boss, I would assume.
Nice.
Being a 10th District Guard, just sort of standing there on the corner. Really aggressive. I mean, I'd be happy to have 85 of these in my deck.
Wow, I don't know about 85, but this
is...
Just
a deck full of 10th Street Guards. Like, if I can get them in my hyper-aggressive Mentor deck, then I'd be happy with that.
I'd be all right with that. This is a bear.
It's a bear.
You should treat it as a bear. It's not... If it did +1/+0, I'd be more excited about it.
Treat a bear.
Leave your notes in the comments. Yeah. How you would treat your bear. All right, so 10th Disregard in and of itself is a fine creature.
I hurt my wrist doing this.
Did you?
Wow. Yeah, I hurt myself because I'm very old.
We're getting older. Yep, that's real pain. All right, but 10th Disregard, you'll get it late. You'll get it probably 10th pick or whatever. It's not something you want to run infinite of, even though he says he does. He doesn't mean that.
I don't mean I want a million. I would be happy with these as my only 2-drop, though.
Sure. I mean, I would be disappointed in my deck if this were my only 2-drop.
Sure.
I mean, this is if you're in an aggressive deck, there's a lot of really good 2-drops that I think you can choose from.
But in your like generic mid-rangey strategy where you're only playing 4 2-drop creatures, I would be happy with 4 of these as my 2-drop creatures, whereas the rest of my creatures are 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s.
Right.
This is not the 2-drop that you want in your mentor deck. Mm-hmm. This is a much better card for the Convoke deck, actually, because it has an effect, it pumps up a friend, and you can just get it out early as early defense.
Yeah, I mean, like, you'll need 2-drops in your decks regardless. Yeah. Not everyone's going
to
be playing
You'll get a million of these, though. Yeah. And if you draft it 10th, you have to draft it face up.
Wow. Yeah, for sure, buddy.
Yeah.
My
10th pick? Well, I'm picking this one.
We're in the district, y'all. Venerated Loxodon is a white and 4 generic mana for a 4/4 rare elephant cleric with Convoke. And when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that convoked it. This thing was huge yesterday in the team series. This thing crushed. This card was nuts.
After Citywide Bust, this is the best mono white card in the set. This card is very exciting.
I think this card has constructed playability.
Oh, 100%.
This card, I mean, again, when you saw this thing in action, it was ridiculous.
Let's talk about this card with specifically History of Benalia in Standard, because that is really exciting for me, where you go turn 2, 2-drop Knight, turn 3, History of Benalia, turn 4, History of Benalia, play this, pump up everything. Is a crazy play line. You can play 1-drop, 2-drop, then this on turn 3 and pump those 2 guys, or play it for free and pump 5 of your 1/1s at some point in the game. Right. This card has so many good play lines associated with it. It's very powerful. Not only is it 4 power for 5 mana, sometimes it's 9 power for 0 mana.
Man,
which is ludicrous.
It's the Convoke thing, because I'm still stuck on the Improvise. I'm like, oh, you still have to pay the 1 white mana. No, you can just tap a white creature and 4 other creatures, and you pump all of them.
Can you imagine if there was a improvised Loxodon that was put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature that this improvised? That would have dominated Standard. This is that, albeit a little bit less synergistic because you need to have creatures instead of just artifacts. But still, I mean, this is doing what you want it to do.
Right. Yeah. This card is real. It's very, very powerful. Again, after I saw what it was doing in Limited at the Pro Tour, I was like, this thing is going to construct it.
That thing is absurd.
It is insane. So let's keep moving here to our Boros cards. Our first Boros card is a good one. It's Aralia, Exemplar of Justice, a white, a red, and 2 generic mana for a 2/5 mythic legendary angel. She has flying, she has mentor, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 target creature you control. Until end of turn, that creature gets +2/+0, gains trample if it's red, gains vigilance if it's white, and remember, she can target herself.
Yeah, we
forgot about that.
We were doing our homework yesterday. Ruben and I were comparing notes and just kind of getting ready for today, and I remember looking at her and I was like, Rubes, did you know she can choose herself? And Ruben's like, no, I didn't know that.
There's so many words on this card that it has to be good.
Yeah, so she can effectively be, a 4/5 with flying, mentor, trample, and vigilance, which is wild. And especially with the mentor, it's like, making her bigger allows her to mentor more creatures. And so, the card is very good. It feels very pushed. And I'd be very surprised if this didn't see play.
It is nice that this can stagger itself with the +2/+0. So if you have another creature that is 1 toughness higher, you can sort of ladder them both up over the course of your attack steps, which is very nice. This is sign language for, all right. 5 toughness for that 4 mana, and it's an evasive body, and you can be attacking for 4 at minimum on the next turn. Just a very good card.
Well, it triggers the turn you come into play.
Yeah.
It's not a 4 mana do nothing, a 4 mana wait till your next turn. Like, it happens. Right. This is the Boros 4-drop. This is Wizards giving you all the tools to say, if you like to be aggressive, here is your awesome aggressive creature.
Yep.
Fury, this ain't. You know what I'm saying? Aralia's Fury.
Yeah.
Might have gotten a little excited about it.
You're still living that down.
No, don't worry. I'll live it forever. That's how it works.
Card's good. Card is very good. 5 toughness is a extremely important pressure point. It appears to be. There is a removal spell in this set that we'll be talking about in just a second, actually, that deals 5 to an attacking or blocking creature, so it's not impervious.
But we don't want it to be.
No, of course not.
We want it to be answerable. We want it to be good.
Yeah, we want our first pick bombs to be answerable by commons, which is what you get in this set. Destroy target creature with 4 toughness and that kind of effect. Very good card, still answerable, which I appreciate.
Yeah, this is a card that if there's an aggressive Boros deck in Standard, and this card don't make it, Wizards screwed up. Like, this is a mythic meant to sell booster packs of Magic. So it better be good. And it looks to be pretty freaking fantastic. Again, easy first pick and limited. Always play in your sealed decks. Splash for this thing if you have to, because this will take over a game all by itself. Boros Challenger. Man, these cards are so good. Boros Challenger is a white and a red for a 2/3 uncommon human soldier with Mentor, and because everything needs abilities these days, it's a white, a red, and 2 generic mana, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So essentially you just start building yourself up the chain, mentoring, continuing to build this monster army to run over your opponent. This card is amazing in limited. This card is fantastic in sealed. It's even better than in draft. It's good.
Because it's a mana sink.
Yeah, it's sealed. It's just bananas, like it's crazy.
This is also a game day promo, if I'm not mistaken, which traditionally the uncommon game day promos have been constructed playable. I think almost every single time, maybe every single time.
Again, with the leaves emphasizing we're in fall.
Absolutely. So this is your 2-drop and your 4-drop. You get to play this on 2, then you play your 2 colorless and a white 3/1 on 3, and then on 4 you can pump this creature to, and then for the rest of the game those two can ladder with each other.
Oh man,
which is pretty nice.
Yeah, this card is just terrific. And again, 2 mana 2/3 with 2 different abilities. Both are awesome. Both are synergistic. It's really hard to go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this card's great. That said, Chance for Glory is a special guest card. Let's see who showed up to talk about Chance for Glory.
Hey, Ruben. Hey, Aaron. I'm Josh from the Command Zone. This is DJ. The card we want to talk about today, well, what is it, DJ?
It's Chance for Glory. 1 red white for an instant. Creatures you control gain indestructible. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game.
So this reminds us of Final Fortune.
Glorious End.
So definitely a history in red. An interesting thing about this card for Commander specifically, did you expect us to talk about anything but Commander? That first line, creatures you control gain indestructible. Period. It doesn't say until end of turn. I think this is because they want your creatures to have an indestructible for the extra turn that you get also.
That's amazing. That's so cool. By the way, I love how your creatures get indestructible for the extra turn in case somehow you happen to not lose the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You could not lose the game. You don't have to win the game in that turn. What if you had Sundial of the Infinite?
Okay, so you get your extra turn for really cheap, and then you dodge the lose the game clause. That's pretty good.
And your creatures are indestructible for the rest of the game. Now, one thing to clarify here is that the wording says creatures you control gain indestructible, which means that it's only going to affect the creatures that are out when you cast it. Subsequent creatures you play later won't get indestructible. Or you could have like Platinum Angel or some other kind of effect that says you can't lose the game.
True.
In which case your creatures still gain indestructible. Also, if your Platinum Angel is indestructible, seems pretty good.
That seems pretty... Oh my gosh. Seems a little bit Magical Christmas Land, but that's the kind of card I want to play in Commander.
I mean, we've got... Yeah, okay, fine, Magical Christmas Land. But we're Commander players. I don't know. What do you guys think about the card?
With their green screen backgrounds, I love it.
So good. I mean, well, Josh, thank you very, very much for participating in the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And Chance for Glory in and of itself, this is one of those cards that they immediately was like, hey, Aaron Forsythe, they screw up again, forget to put it until the turn. He's like, no, man, we meant
Nope, that one was on purpose.
Yep.
I like this card. I think we've all played aggressive decks that you're just, especially if you're up against a combo deck or you're up against a control deck, you're just one turn behind, and they're either able to go off or they're either able to stabilize, and you just really need that time to get in there. And so this really lets you do that. If you can just kill them before they kill you, that's sort of the theme of an aggro deck. And I really like this one. I think the other ones they listed, like Glorious End was just weird, where it's like, who wants this? But you know exactly who wants this. And I think anybody who's played an aggressive deck has been there and has just needed to close the window and keep you safe. My only concern about this card is that Settle the Wreckage is still a thing. Yep. So indestructible may not matter if they're just exiling everything. But I get where they're going with this, and I think in the right deck, this could see play. I don't know if it's something you really lean on, but again, if you just need to close the window, it can help you get there.
Final Fortune effects just have never gotten there and constructed.
Yeah.
Since Final Fortune. Final Fortune did get there. And so, I mean, it was in a deck at the very least. It was popular.
Sure.
This effect has not traditionally been playable.
Right.
But yeah, this one has This one has a chance.
Because it's, well, for glory. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen.
I would say it's more on
ladies,
the edge.
he is available.
I would say it's more on the edge of glory. But.
Wow. Yes, Miss Gaga would approve.
Yeah.
This is a card, I don't see it happening for constructed, but I do think, and again, Josh pointed out a lot of really cool interactions where you can get really clever by turning around the downside of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, whenever the commander guys say that a card that has the words, you lose the game on it, could have potential in commander, I mean, that gets me to sit up and listen.
Yeah, pay attention. Deafening Clarion is the play designiest card of the play design cards in this set. It is a white, a red, and a generic mana for a rare sorcery that says choose one or both. Your favorite phrase.
Love it.
Deafening Clarion deals 3 damage to each creature, or creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. That's weird.
So Ruben and I, again, when we were talking last night, we were kind of talking about how we felt about this card, and Ruben brought up one really good point. Dinosaurs.
Right.
You know, dinosaurs have the enrage mechanic, and being able to enrage all of your dinosaurs and sort of get those triggers
and clear the little ones out of the way.
Yeah, and we kind of saw a little bit of this in Return to Ravnica. You know, the burn deck that can sort of be, you know, aggressive, but again, if you want to win that race, you may not necessarily want to lose your own creatures, but if you do want everything to gain lifelink, you know, that's a way to get in there and also, you know, kind of turn things back in your direction. So very versatile card. I know Adrian Sullivan spoke very highly of it in his red set review because he loves all things burn. And so, yeah, I think this card could definitely see play.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a sealed bomb. Very, very good in draft, not necessarily bomby, I think, in that format. This is one of the cards that don't ever, ever, ever submit this as your great designer search card, okay?
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah, Mark Rosewater would have an aneurysm.
Yeah, there were some people that were like, how did this get through? Like, it's...
Well, because it's play design. It's very obviously play design. This is the kind of card that you're playing with your Ripjaw Raptors, that you're playing with your new Aralias, alongside of the Deafening Clarion. Just a very good card. Also very good with Firesong and Sunspeaker. If you happen to be playing that card, it's about time we had another Buy a Box promo be good and constructed.
To blow up, right? Okay. Wow.
Tajik, you know, you'll lose Tajik in the Clarion, but it protects your stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Tajik will jump on the grenade for you.
Yeah.
There you go. Deafening Clarion, however, just a terrific,
really good
card. Again, super weird. Fresh-Faced Recruit is a...
This is the other one I was thinking about when I was like, the Boros have just the most adorable art. Just the most wholesome...
This looks like, do you know DJ Spruik?
Yeah.
This looks like Spruik. If
Spruik
you put Spruik in armor, the face...
And took his glasses off.
Yeah, it's totally Spruik. I mean, I don't know if there's pink hair under there, but...
Well, there could be. Yeah. Boros, if you will.
Well, it's red and white combined.
Right? With the,
so pink.
Okay. Well, it is a Boros and a generic mana, so red or white and a generic mana for a 2/1 common human soldier. As long as it's your turn, it has first strike. That's great. It's ready to be mentored.
Sure.
Ready to get in there. Shown what to do, and it has first strike. Once it becomes a 3/2 first striker, that's a legitimate threat. That is very scary. I saw this in the pre-release doing a lot of work, where again it fit into all of the Boros decks, but it also fit in Celestia. It also fit in some of the what was the other red? The Izet deck even wanted to have, you know.
He said Izet.
Convoke Izet.
I always say. I've been saying Dimmer, Dimmer, y'all.
Yeah,
I figured. All right, so. Fresh-Faced Recruit.
Just wait till we get to the Golgari.
Yeah, the is it, if you will.
There we go.
Yes, they also need 2-drops. Everybody needs a 2-drop, just like they need a bosom. That's a 90s reference. Wow, moving on. Garrison Sergeant.
I can't take this card seriously.
Air traffic control lizard.
It just looks so ridiculous.
It's a red, a white, and 3 generic mana for a 3/3 common Viashino soldier. It has double strike as long as you control a gate. Wizards was like, the Brestlers of the world need to do things in this set. Let's give them payoffs.
Yeah, for drafting every gate.
So it's important to know that they specifically said that, so typically when you open a pack of cards, you have a chance to open a basic land. They've said that they are not including basic lands in packs anymore, that if you get any lands in a pack...
for this set.
Right, it's going to be a guild gate. And so there are reasons to have cards that require a gate, because if you're playing any sort of sealed, you're probably going to be opening gates to begin with.
Right.
And so it's not for nothing that it says that. And a 3/3 double strike is fine.
3/3 double strike for 5 is totally fine.
Yeah.
And the plane goes this way. It goes this way. That way.
It just looks so silly.
And this way. That's where the planes go. Good job. But this is your payoff. This is your payoff for going the 5-color gate thing, being silly. This is not the aggressive card that Boros wants. Boros doesn't want a 5-mana 3/3. No.
And they also don't want gates.
Yeah.
Right.
So a little bit of an odd mishmash there, but not every card is for every deck.
But the slower 5-color, good stuff, just play whatever you can get, but you're getting all the gates.
Yep.
This is your payoff, and that's terrific. Hammer Dropper. Could this be the... Am I the only one that's thinking Panty Dropper? Am I the only one? Was it just me? Did I go too far?
No,
We'll clean it up in post if that's...
We'll clean that up. It'll be the boop dropper, and I'll be like, what did I do? What did I say? I'm sorry.
Hey, Kickstarter backers. Thanks for joining us for our blooper reel. This was very nice of Evan to say Panty Dropper during the set
review.
He's
holding it, though, is like...
I'm just saying, look, man.
He's an attractive man.
We have cheesecake, right? We have the cheesecake, beefcake, whatever going on.
Beefcake is what you were looking for.
Cheesy cake.
Cheesecake is not what you were looking for.
I was not what I was looking for.
5/2 Mentor for, first of all, 5 power for 4 mana.
Yes.
Nothing to sneeze at. If you can give this first strike or evasion of some kind, this thing will end games very quickly, and is going to pump up everything else on your team. He's going to pump you up.
Wow. It's a red,
Speaking
white.
of 90s references.
Tell me about it. It's a red, white, and 2 generic mana for a 5/2 common giant soldier with Mentor. That's what it does. It has a itty bitty booty.
Yeah.
Little butt.
Little butt. 2 toughness butt.
Too tough butt? No.
I need a...
You need a butt that has more than 2 toughness.
Yeah.
That ain't too tough.
But Hammer Dropper 11, so this is the card you want on turn 4. This is what Boros is looking for, not these weird things with gates. This is the high power, high impact, definitely going to mentor something, ideally mentoring something with evasion.
Yeah.
This card is good in limited.
Card is fine in limited. It is going to need help. It's going to need an evasion. It's going to need some way to give it haste immediately. It needs something else, because just playing this on turn 4, just sort of by itself, is not what you want to be doing.
No, by itself, it's pretty bad. But it needs help, just like most of Boros does. Yeah. This isn't a card that I'm happy to run like 2 of. If I'm running like 2 of, it's probably too many.
Probably.
Definitely not 3.
Yeah,
definitely. All right. Well, we have. I'm so glad we don't have to turn our head for this.
Nice.
We have integrity and intervention, thanks to our director for setting up these files.
Shout out to Rich for that.
That's
this
right.
Is nice of him for us to not have to tilt that. Oh,
did you really? Did you really? Why did you do that?
Because I wanted to make a joke, and then
you guys don't know how long Evan spent trying to get that on there.
It was like a Rubik's cube. It was just like, hold my mouth right, do this,
Rubik's
do that.
Cube.
Like if we wish we were recording, because we could have put like the Jeopardy theme, because it was just Evan for minutes just trying to get it to work.
I got this. We're good. There we go. We're good.
All right.
Is that okay?
That's fine. It's fine. It's
Evan?
not fine. It's not. It's fine. Don't touch it. You're touching it. It's going to break.
We could use an intervention right now.
Oh my god.
There we go.
This is our first split card of the set. Integrity is a Boros mana, red or white, for an uncommon instant that gives target creature +2/+2 until end of turn. Or Intervention, which is a white, red, and 2 generic mana for an uncommon instant that deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. So you're paying a whole bunch for Helix.
Sure.
That's fine. Or you're getting a good old-fashioned 1 mana +2/+2.
I mean, good in the early game for when you want to get those early beats in. You don't have a lot of mana, but again, when you just need to close out the game and finish them off, sometimes the bolt just gets you there.
Yeah. Also lets you trigger your mentor, even if your 2 creatures have the same power.
Right.
So it's good in that position. Later in the game, it can be a removal spell. Card's fine.
This card's great.
Yeah.
I think this card's absolutely terrific. This is the card that if you get past this and you're in
This
Boros...
is a signal if you get past this, but also I'm not super happy to first pick.
No, I don't want to... It's hard to lock yourself in.
Yeah.
This is a card that more or less locks you into Boros. Not sure if I want that, but if I'm, if I first pick an awesome Boros card or an awesome aggressive card and somebody passes me this, it's like high five, we're all in. We're doing the Boros thing.
Yeah, because even though you can play this in Izzet and can play this in Celestia
and Golgari.
Golgari. You can play this in Celestia, you can play it in Izzet, but the +2/+2 is not great in either of those archetypes. Okay. So it does lock you into Boros, even with the half that can be cast by either color.
You have to say it like Bulgari. Like Golgari.
Golgari.
Who are you wearing, Golgari?
The Fall Collection.
The Shroom Collection.
That's right.
Justice Strike is next. It's a white and a red mana for an uncommon instant. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power.
Noteworthy, we've seen I've seen several mismatched power and toughnesses so far. Aralia does not die to this, which is nice. Yeah, it's very, very relevant.
This card is very good. This card probably replaces War Leader's Helix in your Legacy cubes. This card there's a card called Retribution from Mirage that had this effect, but it was 2 colorless and a white, and that even saw standard play. This is 2 mana at instant speed, able to deal with most dinosaurs, most creatures in general. Usually
Doom Whisperers.
Doom Whisperers. It's usually going to be able to trade up. You're usually going to be able to kill 3 power or 3 casting cost, 4 casting cost, and up creatures with this. It's able to kill a Galta, which is a big deal. And red-white usually has a tough time doing that.
Yeah.
And so Justice Strike is very, very, very good.
Yeah, this is one of those cards that if they just have something really dumb and you have to 2-for-1 yourself, you run your creature into it and then you Justice Strike because you're like, that thing was just too scary, it had to go. This gives you
I think that this is the second best red-white card in the set. Better than Clarion.
No.
I think it's better than Clarion, and I think it's better than Aralia.
I'd be
honestly.
Whoa, what?
I think this
better
card,
than Clarion. I was listening. Aralia, that's.
I think this card I'm picking Aralia in draft over this, but I think that this card has more likelihood of seeing standard play because of its cost, because of what it does, and you don't need to center your whole deck around it. I just think it's a very good card.
Interesting.
Well, I get that.
But I'm wrong, and you hate it.
Yeah, this does not see constructed play, but this sees a lot of limited play. This is a great limited card. I just think it's
excellent
too conditional.
Card. Again, it's multicolored. It's tough to first pick it, but this kills almost everything. Almost.
Legion Guildmage. Our first Guildmage, yay! Is a red and a white mana for a 2/2 uncommon human wizard, and they all have 2 abilities. The first one for this one is a red and 5 generic mana tap : it deals 3 damage to each opponent, or 1 white, 2 generic mana tap : tap another target creature. And remember, at the end of their turn, you can tap a creature, untap, tap another creature, get in as you need to. Yeah. This brings inevitability with the first ability and brings you, evasion and or getting through big blockers with the second ability. It's exactly what Boros wants to do.
Each opponent being relevant in Two-Headed Giant, or if you're playing multiplayer Brawl or EDH, that can add up.
Yeah, being able to tap down a creature every turn is a big deal. All the guild mages are playable. The abilities are all a little expensive, but it is another way to dump your mana in an aggressive Boros strategy where that deck usually doesn't. And it's also just a 2/2 for 2 early.
I mean, if you're flooding out and you're like, oh no, I got 6 mana, well fine, I'll just burn you for 3 and burn you for 3 and whatever. Exactly. Like, that's a way for the game to end, and that's exactly what Boros wants. All of these guild mages are great. I love all of them. Yeah, these aren't ridiculously incredible abilities, but no man, this is the bread and butter of Boros. Yep. It took me into Legion Guildmate to say bread and butter, but I got there, okay? I held back for you guys. I held back.
We haven't had a bananas yet, though.
You're right.
Bananas is
right. Or ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Or Cold Stone.
Zeitgeist.
Nutter Butters.
Right.
We're getting there.
Stone Cold Nutter Butters. Cold Stone Nutter Butters. I forgot about that one.
That's delicious ice cream. All right, so now we have our rare split card from Boros. This is Response and Resurgence. Response is 2 Boros mana, 2 red or 2 white in any combination, for a rare instant that deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, or Resurgence, which is a red, white, and 3 generic mana for a rare sorcery that says creatures you control gain first strike and vigilance until end of turn. After this main phase, there is an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. They have tried, just like they've done with fork abilities, to put the extra combat phase on a card that matters. And they have pushed it, and here we are, but they're like, fine, we'll make it just half of this card. If you want to maybe play the other half. They literally put an instant and a sorcery on the same split card.
That is kind of wild.
Have they ever done that?
I don't think so.
That seems really weird.
That is going to confuse people. In fact, I didn't even realize that until you just pointed it out.
Yeah, it freaks me out. I'm just like, that's an instant and a sorcery? I guess it's both? Okay. Like, they're just like, please play an extra combat phase card. Please. They're like, please fork something. Will you please fork anything?
And this is a first pickable card just for the response half. White, deal 5 to an attacking or blocker. Red, deal 5 to an attacker or blocker is good enough by itself. Right. Let alone with the Resurgence half for a late game if you happen to also be in Boros. This is one of the few cards that is able to deal with Aralia by itself. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it has to be in combat to do it, which is a bit of a problem. But still, 2 mana to answer a 5 toughness creature is a big deal. Able to take care of things like Ripjaw Raptor. Just tons of good things that Response can deal with. And Resurgence can end a game, and you also get to say, during my third main phase, I'll cast something.
Right. That gives you the third one. Essentially, if you're in Izzet, if you're in Celestia, if you're in Boros, the Response card's always going to make your deck.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if the Resurgence card exists. Like, whatever. This is a removal spell, and it's great.
Yeah.
But, maybe someday you'll get to have an extra combat phase, and it will matter.
But this will be Response 90% of the time, and that's good enough.
And that's fine. I mean, this is another one of those where I see the tools of what Wizards is building for Boros, and they're like, here, you have both the removal spell and the ability in the game.
Right.
Isn't that sweet? And we're like, yeah, that's cool, but we're just going to play the one half. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sky Knight Legionnaire is back!
Back! I think this is the only card that is in all three blocks. Ravnica, Return to Ravnica, Guilds of Ravnica.
It's in all three.
All three.
I believe there's no
There
other
aren't the
card.
duels.
Other than the duels, which
Right.
they named to go anywhere, yet only show up in Ravnica.
Right.
Weird, isn't it?
We'll find another city plane to go to where we can put a Hallowed Fountain. Maybe.
Bravnica.
Well, if they do the D&D plane, if they go to Waterdeep, they can certainly do,
There you go.
you know, the Godless Shrine in Waterdeep and things
Watery
like that.
Grave.
Watery Grave.
There
Perfect.
you go. So
Even
Sky Knight
Waterdeep.
Legionnaire is the only card that I know of. Feel free to correct us in the comments.
Right.
We know you will. That to be in all three Ravnica blocks, it is a red, a white, and a generic mana for a common 2/2 human knight that has flying and haste. It even is a knight, which matters these days.
Yeah.
Which is really
It's
cool.
really interesting that Sky Knight Legionnaire fit original Ravnica's Boros with the Radiance as
Right.
being a multicolored creature. So if you target it with a Radiance combat trick, it could get all your white and all your red cards. Then in Return to Ravnica, you had Battalion, where the haste was relevant. Then in this set, you have Mentor. This is a great thing to put +1/+1 counters on, and it's a knight, so it's relevant for standard. The fact that all of those things lined up was really quite poetic.
It's beautiful. And again, I saw it at the Pro Tour, getting lots of +1/+1 counters from Mentor. And when this guy is a 3/3 haste flying creature, that's scary.
Yep.
Like, it's a real threat that ends games.
Third printing, third art as well.
Nice.
Completely new art.
Yeah, this was one of the cards that they used the 4-mana 2/3 Vigilance guy, and they sure striked it. They did that twice to make this a 4/4.
Nice.
Like, Sky Knight Legionnaire is a 4/4. Ooh, boy.
It's a big deal.
It was awesome. This card is super good. Early pick, not a first pick, but an early pick. It can, and again, if this is pack 3 and you're in Boros and you see this guy show up, I wouldn't feel too bad first pick.
Yeah. And if you see this like 6th in pack 1,
Boros is open.
then Boros is open.
Boros is open. Nobody wanted it. Let's go. Swath Cutter Giant.
Another big burly boy.
The
This is the giant from Citywide Bust. Is it not? No, he's got a mask on.
This is a human, not like a weird
This
giant.
guy's tougher. No, he's a giant. He's a creature type giant.
This one's fit, whereas the other one was just thick.
Gotcha.
THSCC.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so this one's a white, a red, and 4 generic mana. 6 mana for a 5/5 uncommon giant soldier with vigilance. Whenever Swath Cutter Giant attacks, it deals 1 damage to each creature defending player controls.
Makes sense. I mean, it's jumpable. And I mean, if you're playing against a Celestian deck, they're just going to throw some crappy 1/1s in front of it. And what better way to kind of clear the way and say you're going to...
Then to cut swaths through them. Yeah. Would normally be, but now can only be chump blocked by X2s and up as it's going to start cutting swaths. Good top end finisher. 5/5 vigilance for 6 is a good rate even without the other ability. Obviously not going to be constructed playable, much less if Dinosaurs is popular.
It'd be terrible. This looks like the type of card that you would play in your gate deck.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
This is like the top end type card that you want. It doesn't really fit in like a guild strategy or a certain type of strategy in general. Versus
certainly doesn't fit in the Boros strategy.
Right. It's just a monster.
It's just a huge giant idiot.
Right. And sometimes that's what you need.
A land dragon, if you will. 6 mana 5/5 with a different ability.
Now, if you can give it evasion or some other cool ability, that would be great. But you're just not going to be mentoring very often onto a Swath Cutter.
You don't really need to. It's a 5/5 vigilance. Like what else do you need?
That's dealing damage.
It's fine.
Which is okay. So this is really good in sealed. Much better in sealed because you're usually going to get there. But in draft, if you're playing Boros, don't do this.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Probably not what you want.
Not what you're looking for. But what you are looking for is Swift.
This card is terrifying.
This card is freaky. This is another one. Just like forking, just like another combat step, Wizards is like, would you please love Double Strike? Would you please just play and love the Double Strike? Swiftblade Vindicator is a red and a white mana for a 1/1 rare human soldier. So this better be good, and it is. Double Strike, Vigilance, and Trample. Please mentor it. Please give it huge pump spells. Please see how scary that a double striking trampler can be in standard. This card is amazing.
This was the Loading Ready Run preview card, and their preview video for it was hilarious, where Graham was essentially a used car salesman or like a midnight infomercial. How much would you expect to pay for Swiftblade Indicator? And it was just adorable. And from that video, he said, would you pay 5 mana, 4 mana? How about 3 mana for the low cost of, what's that? Lower cost? How about 2? And so one of the sites watched that video but didn't watch it all the way through and posted the 3 mana version as their spoiler card, which I thought was hilarious. At 2 mana, this is an absurd rate. We've had Boros Swiftblade in the past, Viashino Slaughter Master or Slaughterhouse guy. 1/1s for 2 with Double Strike have seen play before. But with Trample and with Vigilance, this thing is ridiculous.
I mean, Boros Swiftblade back in the day was a 1/2 with Double Strike, and we were like, oh my god. And now it's like, it doesn't even have to tap, and now it's like, let's just give it Trample too. And it's like, what?
Pretty good.
It used to be you could just chump block the huge Double Strikers, even in Dominaria.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, okay, a 4 mana 2/2 Double Striker, that's fine. But now this thing is just pushed and pushed and pushed.
It seems like Double Strike and Hexproof are sort of like they're trying to make Hexproof more expensive, and then trying to make Double Strike less expensive because they realize that Hexproof is the more broken of the two abilities.
It certainly is. This card, I fully expect to see Constructor play. You're going to have a removal spell ready for this thing. You're going to have to be fully aware of how scary this card can get really fast with Mentor.
Yep.
And in Limited, this is a card that I'm okay first picking, first pack, and say, you know what, I'm going to give it a run.
Yeah.
Because this is the card that you pay off.
Very few multicolored cards that I'm willing to take first.
Right. This one's a good one.
This is also the one that I'm willing to take first.
Yeah.
This is the one that I said is the best Boros card.
This card is insane.
This is the best Boros card.
It's also a human. Tajik Legion's Edge is a red, white, and generic mana for a rare 3/2 legendary human soldier. It has haste. It also has Mentor. It also prevents all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. And one more ability, because why not? A red and a white mana colon. It gains first strike until end of turn. This card is amazing.
I was on board with 3 mana haste Mentor 3/2.
Yeah.
I'm good with the first 2 lines of text. I didn't need the next 2.
Goblin Chain Whirler is still a thing. Protects your creatures from that, especially because typically when they first come out, they may not be that big yet if they haven't been mentored yet. This helps protect you from that, among other things. And,
the human creature type obviously going to be super relevant. One of the few humans that they're talking about for Modern from this set.
Right.
Being able to protect yourself from other pyroclasm effects in Modern. Pay a red and a white, not really going to be relevant. First Strike is a pretty easy ability to come by in red and white, but you know what? You don't have to spend a card on it. It's a mana sink as well.
This looks like one of those things they did because of Chain Whirler.
Yes.
They said, let's add this line that says prevent all non-combat damage to other creatures because Chain Whirler is just killing everything.
Right.
Could we have it not kill everything all the time?
I mean, we've even seen we saw the Justice Strike earlier, so that prevents the damage from that. I mean, we also saw the release and the resurgence, I think it was, or the response resurgence, protects from the response too.
Right.
And so there's a number of things that this does prevent you from. There's a lot of ways to...
Yeah, Tajik is able to sort of jump on the grenade of a lot of those
creatures that it prevents,
Right, so if you had a removal spell or you were gearing up to kill something with 4 or 5 toughness or whatever, you're like, no, you got to waste it on this guy first.
Yeah.
And then you get the other thing.
Yeah.
So even if you're able to wipe the board or whatever, like, Tajik's probably going to absorb all the damage, and then you're going to get run over.
The card is ridiculously good.
This card is pushed.
And pretty.
Very pretty.
Very pretty. Very pretty. Well, our last Boros/white card for this episode is True Fire Captain. It is 2 white and 2 red for a 4/3 uncommon human knight with Mentor, and whenever it is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target player. This card is scary.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid of the mana cost. Between the pre-release and between the Pro Tour, I am 100% convinced that you can easily play all of the sweet uncommon cards in your guild as long as you're in that guild primarily.
A lot of the time it'll come on turn 5 if you happen to draw 3 mountains and a plains or the other way around. Sometimes. But also you have the lockets, you have the guild gates. It's very easy to, not very easy, but it is reasonable to cast XXYY uncommons. This one is a 4 power, 4 cost creature with Mentor that has a relevant ability to be able to finish off opponents. I feel like a lot of the things that are going to happen with this Boros deck is you're going to get your opponents down to 7, 5 life, and then they're going to be able to build up their defenses and slowly start picking away at you with like a 2 power flyer.
Right.
So this the Guild Mage, other ways to slowly but surely chip away that last little bit of damage without the combat step are going to be very relevant.
Or kind of turn it into a Boros Reckoner again, just to strike yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what are you at?
Love it. Just to strike yourself is the big game.
Or the response 5.
Right.
What are you at?
or the what is the 1 mana combat trick we saw earlier, Righteous Blow.
Yeah, because the burn
2
spells,
damage to you, shock you.
Yeah, because the burn spells in this set, when it comes to dealing with players, are surprisingly expensive. I know some people have talked about that on social media, but the creature removal is cheap. But if you can turn that creature only spell into a burn spell, pay what was it? Response was 2 mana for that
2
5
mana.
damage. Yeah, you'll pay that.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, my Deafening Clarion clears the board, and this also goes
and also
3.
bolts you. Yeah,
and bolts you.
Nice.
You good with that? That's terrific. Yeah, this card is super.
And
good.
it gains lifelink.
That's right.
So you
gain the. Woo! It's getting spicy up in here, y'all. Woo! Well, we ended on a good one. Those are all the White and Boros cards in Guilds of Ravnica. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just getting started. Join us here to discuss all of the blue and Dimir, or is it
Dimir and blue?
So Dimmer
and blue.
Dimmer and bleu. We'll see you shortly.
We'll go from the brightness of the Boros to go a little bit dimmer.
Wow. So, until next time, Magic players, I am Evan Irwin.
I'm Aaron Campbell.
I'm Ruben Bressler.
And we are tapping all the cards and going through every single card so you don't have to.